Hey guys, it's Maymay, and you will have seen that recently we released a new stamp set called Celebrate Jesus. And this was one of the samples that I showed, and I wanted to show you guys how I made it because this one was a lot of fun, and I think you might enjoy it too. So here's the outside and then the inside. So let's get started. Breaking in here to ask you to hit that red subscribe button. It's free. Also, hit the bell button beside it. You can help me reach my big goal this year of 400,000 subscribers. Okay, back to crafting. So to start this card, what I did was I went through my paper stash and I found a series of yellows and reds and even a little bit of a peachy color to make sort of a gradient or a sunrise effect. Now I'd seen this on a picture and I thought it was really pretty and I really wanted to kind of mimic the way it looked. And you also notice that I cut little 1/8 inch strips of cardstock to lay between each colored strip. The reason for that is because I wanted to have a flat surface to be able to stamp on once I had this all glued down. So I used the same thickness of paper and I was trying to get a flat surface there instead of having ridges between the colors. Now I do eventually forget to stamp, but that's okay. We work around it. So you see here, I'm just laying this out to make sure I have the right colors laid next to the right colors. And in reality, I realized that one of those oranges was a little too close, so we cut it in just a little bit. Now, I decided to cover this entire piece of cardstock, which, by the way, is 4 1/4 by, nope, it's 4 by 5 1/4. I decided to cover it with some sticky tape. Now, I could have used a full sheet or even one of the 6 by 6 sheets, but I have this roll of 2 inch wide tape, and I tend to use it a pretty good bit, and it was closer to me right at hand, so I just picked it up and used it. But you'll notice here I'm cutting it a little bit long. That's because I want to make sure I have enough adhesive to cover the entire card front, and any that hangs over, I'll just flip it up onto itself and it just becomes like an extra adhesive. So peeled off the backer, and you'll see here what I'm talking about. I'm just going to flip that little extra up, and then I know the entire card is covered. And you want to make sure you do that on all the way around. You want to kind of make sure that every little piece that's hanging over is flipped in, or else it becomes a sticky mess in the envelope. So just check that. Then I added a second layer to the end, and now I have a completely sticky card. Now each piece can lay directly in, but you'll notice here I take the time to line it up on my mat. I don't want to get crooked, so I need some reference. So that's why I did that, so I could make sure I was using everything nice and straight. Now listen, I feel like, here's my confession time, ready? I feel like this card was a little more work than the payoff. I'm not really sure I enjoyed the payoff as much as I did the process because it took a minute, and I feel like my card came out kind of plain. However, I did enjoy the process. Would I mass produce this? Absolutely not. It's too much work to mass produce, but it's a good idea for using scraps and things like that. Now, this is where I discovered these two colors are way too close together. So I get rid of one color and just move on with the other colors I had, and it works out fine. I think I actually cut one twice on accident and didn't realize it. So I just continue down, color, white strip, until the whole card is covered. And I really do love the effect. I really do. I'm not great at blending inks to get these kind of gradient effects, so this was just kind of a cheater way. Now you'll see at the bottom I'm going to have to add 2 of the white strips. The reason is my 1/2 inch pieces don't exactly cover the card, but it's not a big deal. I'm going to cover that up later. Now you see what's hanging over the edge, we're going to just trim off. And when you do this, this is so satisfying to me. Anytime I have something hanging off the edge, I love to flip the card over and cut it from the back and then reveal it to myself. See, look how good that looks. I love how clean and neat it is. Okay, now for a hillside. So I'm just going to tear some paper. You've been seeing me do this several times lately. And I decided to tear a little bit of lift there so that I would have a hillside to place my crosses on. But when I laid this down, I felt like it was a little too much hillside. I wanted a little slighter slope there. So I'm just going to go back and edit this. And you will notice I used more paper than I really needed. That's because I didn't know exactly what I would need, and I can always trim away the excess. So placing this really close to the bottom because I want my color variants to really show. And this is where our crosses are going to live, right on that little spot. Now to stamping. Now you're going to see me stamp a lot here, and I want to tell you why. This is a brand new set. I'm peeling it off the wrapper for this project, and you need to season your stamps, especially these bolder images. So you're going to see I'm going to stamp these 2 or 3 times before I even stamp the ones I'm actually going to use, and I suggest you do that at home. A lot of you guys ask me, how do I get a really crisp, clean stamped image? This is my favorite way to season your stamps. Stamp them a couple of times more than you need them, and then after this, you won't have to. Photopolymer is porous, and so it kind of soaks in some of that ink and it kind of fills in the holes, and you get a much better result in your stamping. And now to the fussy cutting. Now, I could have used the free SVG. I have a free SVG that comes with my stamp sets, and you are welcome to use that. The reason I didn't is because I wanted the slightest little white edge on those crosses, so I decided to do that by hand. In hindsight, a larger white edge would not have changed anything, so do what you feel comfortable with, SVG or fussy cut. All right, it's time to place our hillside. So I place it there just to kind of get an idea of where it's going. And I do a little pre-layout. I want to make sure that this is working like I want it before I start gluing everything down. And you're also going to notice that I'm looking for the placement of that center cross. I wasn't exactly sure where it was going to live. So I want to place everything in, and then I'm going to just mark so I have myself a reference. Now, I do this a lot. I have to kind of lay things out for a second, kind of see where it's going, give myself a reference point, and then glue everything down after the fact. And feel free to do that and use pencils. Like most of my friends use markers, but use pencils. I say most of my friends. Most of the people in my office love pens, but I'm a pencil girl. So that way you can erase it if it shows. Okay, little bit of glue here, and you'll notice I'm not gluing this to the background because I worked so hard on that background. I'm going to glue it to this little piece that I feel like I can edit easier. So I'm gluing that to where my pencil mark is, just the tiniest little bit of the cross there, just to kind of hold it in place. And then if I'm happy, then it'll go to that background that I worked so hard on. I don't want to take a chance of having to redo that in any way, trust me. I mean, would I redo it in a card form? Probably. I would probably do that process again, but I really don't want to mess it up at this point. So gluing the crosses down. Now, something I want you to notice is I kind of take the ends and point them toward each other. You don't have to do that. I just wanted to do it for movement. You could just place the crosses straight up and down next to each other and still get the same effect. But I just thought it looked a little bit different, a little more modern to have them kind of turned into each other. So I get them all glued down. I'm going to add glue to the backs of them and also to our paper and glue it into place. And then I feel happy. That way, see how I could make edits if I needed to? That would have been easy. All right, I'm putting glue to the paper, or to the background. The reason is that way, no matter where I place this white piece, it works. But if I were to try to find on the white piece exactly where to put the glue, I could be off a little bit. So I made sure I put it on that piece on the bottom, so everywhere it touches, we get glue. Then you saw me put a little at the top. That little torn edge, I didn't want it to get too damaged, so I added a little bit of glue to that torn edge as well. All right, now placement. I'm all about straightening this one up. Those straight lines make you kind of do that. I'm not big on straight lines and stuff like I am, but I'm not big on working with straight lines because it makes everything so much more difficult in my opinion. But this time I was trying to be very picky. All right, we're trimming off the edges and we're going to get the big reveal. See why this is kind of a lot of work? And you see how, I don't know, is it just me? It's a lot of work for the payoff I got of this card. Now I think it's beautiful. But again, it was a lot of work for this card. Tell me in the comments if you think it was a lot of work. I think it was. Look how beautiful, though. Isn't that gorgeous? All right, we're going to take the real estate punch. And notice I'm not putting it all the way in. I'm leaving that edge at the top straight. I want to line this up at the top of my card. So that's why I left that top. See how it's flat? I thought that would work really good. You could just cut it off with your scissor at the end. No big deal. But I just thought I'd try it in the beginning. All right, from the same stamp set, we're going to use Jesus Lives. I just thought this was really pretty with the 3 crosses on the hillside. So I stamped Jesus kind of toward the top. And again, I had already stamped these off. You can see they're already dark. I'd already seasoned them before I got started because like I said, it was a brand new set. And then this little guy needed some backer. And you know that these punches don't have like nesting. You know, I don't have a piece that I can punch that'll hang out on the back of that. But see how it kind of blends in? I felt like it needed to pop. So what I'm going to do here, I actually end up punching this 2 times. I end up punching it 2 times and cutting it in half. And what this does is it allows me to spread the edges out behind our little original punch. So you get a little bit of that color showing behind like a shadow. You'll see here. And I really love to do that. I do that with a lot of punches, because I'm a punch person. I love punches, but sometimes I need them to pop a little more. So that's how I did this. And I'm going to glue these pieces to each end. But in doing that, it left me with a gap in the middle, which typically is not a problem. Normally I would just leave that gap alone and let it be there. But on this particular background, I felt like it really stood out So that's why I end up punching it a third time and adding another layer to the back just to fill in the gap in the middle. You'll see that in just a second. Also, on that paper, you get a sneaky peek of some stuff I'm working on with foil, but I didn't want to waste that scrap paper I've been playing on, so that's why we're using it here. Do you guys do that? Do you use your scrap paper that you're playing on for punches and stuff like that? I do that all the time. All right, so you see the gap? I may even show you on the card. I can't remember, but there's a just a little gap in the middle, and I just didn't love it. I'm spending a lot of time on this card. Do y'all see this? Maybe this is why I think it was, more work than the bang. There it is. Okay, you see that little gap? I don't love it. And it's not really bad, and most people wouldn't see it, but I just want to fix it. So all I did, punch a third one and glue it straight down. It also made a little dimension. So bonus, this kind of pops up a little bit, and I kind of like how it turned out. I do have to trim that edge off. All this painstaking work. I don't do this much work for stuff. I'm sitting here watching it going, this is a lot of work. I don't typically do this much work for cards. All right, we're going to pop this up on some foam to give that a little more shadow behind it on that bright background. And then we're going to work on the inside of the card, which I did spend a little more time on because I wanted to use the sentiments from the stamp set to really make like a full greeting on the inside of the card. Now I used my work surface to help me line this up. You'll see I lift it. That little bit of glue I added to the foam gave me a little time to kind of maneuver that around. And so I kind of just lined that up perfectly at the top of the card. And there you go. That is our card front. All right, to the Misty, here's what we're going to do. We're going to add all of the wording that I want to use. Now, I like to add all the wording using my pencil eraser to scoot it around. I have learned that a pencil eraser will not stick to the stamps, and it makes that super easy. Now, I did a sample stamp of this, and I didn't love the layout, so I reset it, and that's how I got that good layout. I did that kind of quick in the video, but I just did a sample stamp and then went back and did the final one, and I loved how it turned out at the final one. So black card base, because I think that bright color on the front needed that black edge to make it pop, and then we're going to glue this guy in. I love when my stamp sets can work as full greetings on the inside, and you can literally lay the wording out any way you want. I just love that. We try to do that a good bit so that they work together with each other too, because you can use all of those sentiments individually as well. All right, there's the outside, and you guessed it, we're going to glue the front on. All right, what do you think? Was it too much work? I think it might have been too much. It's not too much work. A card is never like too much work, but I feel like for the payoff, I feel like I spent a lot more time on it, and I feel like the front is a little too simple. Tell me what you think. I'm interested to know. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching today. You know the deal. If you make this, I want to see it. Head to our customer gallery at maymaymadeit.com and share with me what you're making. And don't forget to subscribe, guys. We're trying to reach that 400,000 goal this year, and I could really use your help to do it. So hit that red button and subscribe, and also give us a thumbs up. Thanks so much for being here today, guys. And until next time, bye now.